I think it's important to have a plan.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Important.
Like it costs X to live, but once you've covered X, life insurance, 401ks, investing it, saving it, you know what I mean? Like the one thing I want my kids to understand is that money is a tool. Make money, have that money work for you.
On this Business Monday episode of A Call to Leadership, I invite my co-hosts Travis Revelle and Sam Salah to join me in answering questions from some of our listeners, particularly the kids. You would be surprised that some of these questions might seem simple, but they're not always the easiest to answer as we engage a real thought and a drive to understand what it means to raise capitalists. Can't wait for you to listen in. This is going to be fun. I'm Dr. Nate Salah, and this is A Call to Leadership. Sam, Travis, here we are. Fun episode. I mean, not that they're not all fun, but we were, this business thing that we're doing is not just for us.
Right.
The next generation, we want to continue to impart that. In fact, one of the members of our group plays our podcast while he's driving his kids to school, which I thought was super cool.
Oh, right on.
And so the kids get to listen to it. Now, how engaged are the kids? I'm not sure, but they're getting principles that are invaluable in business and leadership.
Sure.
And so I thought, how fun would it be to ask you guys randomly, you have not seen these questions yet, questions kids ask about business.
Sure.
All right?
I like it.
All right, so here's the first one. What is business?
Well, what is the textbook definition? Isn't it like you're an exchange of something of value for money?
Right. So Daddy, I don't know what that means.
Right. So
you play a pretty good job.
Right. Yeah. I go through this every day with 6-year-old twins, right? Like,
offering,
what do you mean? What do you
I think
do,
I got
Dad?
it. Offering a service to customers for financial gain.
Yeah. Solving a problem for somebody.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
For financial gain.
for financial gain, right?
That's really the idea,
key. Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for-profit business.
For-profit
but even a
business.
nonprofit, because, and by the way, you're not wearing your headset, bro. What's up, man? One of these kids is doing his own thing.
Well, my DJ.
So there
my
you go,
DJ.
DJ. Yeah, the DJ's in the house.
No wonder why you guys didn't sound as good.
Right. Yeah, right. I don't even know. See, I'm off my, I fell off my, I didn't even know where I was going with this. What was it? What were we talking about? Specifically.
What is business?
What is
Business.
What was I saying though? Gosh, we're gonna have to edit this part out. Yeah.
Well, no, I think
real.
you're asking. So you were digging deeper in the definition of business.
Oh, the profit piece.
yeah,
Yeah,
profit
even
piece, yeah.
nonprofits, it's an oxymoron because you have to have money coming in to support the business. It just doesn't, and it is gain. It just can't leave the nonprofit, right, to any individual, so to speak. But it's still to profit.
The company has to have profit.
Has to have profit. Yeah. So yeah, profit is a key piece of business, right? Business is an exchange. It's an interaction in a marketplace that exchanges goods and services for.
Is that the definition?
It
That
probably
sounds
is.
pretty good.
I tell you what, I mean, I've taught business classes for the last 15 years, so I'm sure.
Let me look it up for you.
Oh, thanks. On your iPad there, which you had to have business to get.
Right. Profit.
Yeah.
A lot of profit.
But you like.
All
So
right.
what's business, Sam?
Oh, wow. Okay. Few. A person's regular occupation, profession, or trade. The practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce.
There you go.
There you go. I think, that's pretty
That's good.
Good.
So
Well, we better know this.
Right.
Like tattoo it on the back. I mean, you have room.
I got a little bit of real
Travis
estate
doesn't
left.
have any room. His tattoos are.
So here's the follow-up
Find a
question.
spot for it.
So what?
I said, nothing. I have 0 tattoos, so I could fit it anywhere. Travis would be difficult, but ananyway, keep going.
So if I'm your kid, I say, well, why daddy or
Okay.
mommy?
Don't call me daddy. Just don't. Just
weird.
That's
It's a little weird.
It was an awkward feeling when you did that. So, yeah, and I don't want the listeners to feel awkward.
go so many ways with that.
All right.
I'm not.
All right. Keep it
related.
Keep it on point, Nate. Keep it on point.
Oh man!
I think
just ask a question.
Isn't that a podcast?
Just ask a question. We'll assume you're a child. Just go ahead and tell me your question.
Gosh, I feel like you used to call me daddy when you're like, my parents kicked me out.
Don't change the episode name to call me dad, please. If you change this episode to call me daddy, I might have to be edited out of this.
I've never had this much fun on a podcast.
Yeah. All right.
Why do I need to learn about business?
Okay. Why do you need to learn about business? I don't think you need to learn about it unless it's something you want to learn about.
Yeah.
Right. My son specifically is interested in entrepreneurship, and so is my daughter. They both have their little mini businesses. Going through the whole process of developing vision with a 9-year-old is amazing. Yeah. It's a fun time. And a 12-year-old, but it's all financial based, right? Because financial is like, for them is like, oh, I have more money, I can buy more things.
Because they see money, they don't understand money,
right?
But they see that it does things for them.
It does, right? It does. They see the value in it. Maybe I wish they could have more value with their money, right? Travis probably agrees. 100%. But that is where it starts. I think
how they see you.
Yes. Yeah. They want to be able to have things, right, in their world that's big, right? So, I think that's where it starts, and then you develop purpose and vision later in life. If you do end up becoming an entrepreneur and you're passionate about something, that's later on. But I think for kids, everything's on the surface. Right? Mm-hmm. They see you as the boss or the person in charge, right? So that's attractive. Then, you're able to come home at hours other people are not at home. Well, how are you able to do that? My friend's dad, is gone from 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. You can just come pick me up whenever. You can be at my practice whenever, right? So then that's a conversation about freedom.
Yeah.
Right? It enables you to have freedom to be able to do things. That's another benefit outside of the financial gain, which eventually should be secondary.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. And in a lot of ways for them, especially for kids, it's very conceptual, right?
Sure.
In fact, I don't know if you know the story, but your dad would tell me stories about, here we go, right? Hey, since we're talking about parents,
right?
He would tell me stories about when you were little. And so when you wanted something and you would tell your dad, just write another check.
Write a check.
Just write a check.
What you were saying.
Yeah. And he'd say, well, son, I can't just write checks. You're like, well, why can't you just keep writing checks until now? Because we're not the government. Maybe another episode. But it's conceptual for kids. They don't really understand the mechanics of it. Right.
I thought it was like valuable. Like, oh, you could give this one piece of paper to get this. Right. Who did I write? Did I write you $1 million check one time?
Yeah.
You put it up?
Yep.
So I wrote Nate $1 million check when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was actually, sorry, Mom. I think it was my mom's checkbook. But yeah, I mean.
Still waiting to cash that check.
I think you probably cashed it now.
I got to see where that check is located.
Right.
Can you give me the check number?
Sam wakes up one day and he's like, holy crap.
Well, maybe one of these days when you won't miss it.
Right.
Oh, man.
So it's funny. So we were talking about this with my kids last night because they're really trying to pitch my wife and I on going to Disney World this year, right? I mean, and it's a full court press from both of them, right? Mm-hmm. And so we've used, and I'm sorry, my kids are going to sound so bougie when we have this conversation, but it is
no surprise.
So we're like, listen, like if we go to Disney World, there's lines that you have to wait in. So
what?
Right. So my son is like, no, there's the VIP program. And now he's 6, right? But
he's
he has access to iPads and he Googles everything.
Yeah.
And so my wife was like, yeah, Jude, that's very expensive. And she's like, money doesn't grow on trees. And he goes, no, of course. And he's so direct, right? Like he doesn't get like jokes. And he's like, no, if money grew on trees, then everybody would be rich. We were like, yeah, right. You know, right. And so they're, oh, we'll do chores and we'll save our money. And here, they have a little piggy bank. And so Jude brought it out last night and he's like, I've got $112. Does that pay for VIP? And I'm like, little off, bud. Like, little off, but we do this thing, like I do this thing, right, with my kids where they don't want to do something. And so I'll say, hey, I'll give you $1. And, it came up the other night. I had my family birthday party and my mom and dad, even though my dad was an entrepreneur, they didn't really push this on us when we were kids, And so my mom, kind of jumps on me and she's like, you always do that. You always offer them money for stuff that they don't want to do. And I don't like that. And I just said, I'm trying to raise capitalists, right? Like I'm raising capitalists. So I want them to know, you don't want to do, there's a price, right? Like there's a price, I don't want to go to work every day necessarily, right? But I do because I want to get this thing called money to be able to buy things for you or for us.
Sure.
And so now the cool thing is they're 6, but they'll start negotiating with me, So I'll be like, hey, I'll give you $1 for that. And my daughter will be like 20. I'll be like 2. She'll be like 20. And I'll be like 1. She'll be like 2. And I'm like, so it's like, I'm trying, but like, they don't realize it yet, but I'm trying to get this ingrained in their head. You know what I mean? That they're capitalists, right? You want things. Obviously you like nice things as, my kids like nice things. And I think that's important, right? Yeah. Like, I think that's important to set that mind frame, starting to teach them negotiation skills and stuff like that. So
I like the negotiate. Lathe never takes the first offer.
That's awesome. Just automatic no?
No, it's automatic no. Automatic no. I said, it's not a negotiation, man. He's like, yes, it is. Nope.
Life's a negotiation.
He's, he's, I think you got a future CEO there.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like that. But, it's great because, we kind of look at things like maybe maybe we give our kids too much. Maybe they don't, develop the struggle, the character because, we want to give them more than what we have. Right. But you're also giving them something else, you're giving them an avenue to entrepreneurship, which most kids don't have. I really believe now schools are starting to give entrepreneurial classes. I have a friend of mine that's a teacher at a high school and now they're starting to offer that. They wanted me to come there and speak. And I think that's just so cool to have that. Because I was exposed by you and my parents, right? And that was impactful to me, right? But for me, I think it was different when I think this is pretty rare, is for me, it wasn't just, the money was secondary. I saw the freedom, I saw the time, I saw the, just to not have to, and we all answer to somebody. I mean, that's kind of a cliche, right? Because we all answer to somebody. You could be a CEO of a company. You're still answering to, or you own a business. You're still answering to a bank. You're still answering to the government. Everyone's answering to somebody. So let me say that. But at the end of the day, there's a freedom and I actually say there's an attraction to the possibility of true freedom. Mm-hmm. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
You'll probably fail. You'll probably stumble. That's the process. Mm-hmm. But if you achieve that.
Well, and then that begs the question, because kids will look at us and say, well, I see you, so you're successful, must be easy. Mm-hmm. And then they realize it's not easy because you share that. I mean, I know in my own family, my own son, he'll respond sometimes, say, Dad, I don't know if I can do what you've done, because they see it being daunting to them. And so I think there's a part of it as a child, it's a reality check. But the other part is saying with the right tools and the right attitude, I say it, attitude plus aptitude equals altitude, right? So you have to have the aptitude. You have to know what you need to get done. You have to have an attitude that's resilient.
Oh, if you're not resilient, you're going to get eaten up by the entrepreneurial world. I mean, probably pick 2 or 3 times in your career you could have just said, what, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
Done.
200 or 300.
Yeah, right.
And it's again, it's not for everybody. Our kids are different. Their upbringing is going to be different. And I think that we've been programmed, right, to at least, our parents' generation, things like that, right? Go to school, get a degree, get a job, probably retire with that company or 2, then retire, right? Different world now. That's not the sell it's a difficult sell now. And I think that's why more people are going into entrepreneurship. I think businesses will be bought and sold more than ever now.
100%.
They're going to be a commodity.
No, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, and I share a lot of Instagram things with you guys, right? And so one of the things I shared, I think I might have shared with you, if not I will, is the amount of baby boomers that are, sole proprietors or have businesses, and they literally have no idea what to do, right? Because most businesses, I mean, God willing, you make enough money to retire, right? But most businesses that's your retirement, is your business, right? And so I think right now is an extraordinary time where people don't think about, seller financed businesses, right? Yeah. Meaning I've got this business that is positive cash flow. I want to retire. I'm not necessarily going to be able to sell my company for a lump sum, but I have somebody who's younger who wants to take it over, and I get a portion of that profit for X amount of years moving forward.
Great deal.
It's a great deal, right? That's a great deal.
And a mentorship.
As
well.
And develop that, right? But if you really look, and this is interesting too, if you really look at it, I didn't know this until, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, our education system, you know who the number one, the person who donated the most money to start our education system was back in the late 1800s, early 1900s?
There's no way I know this answer. Just like
John D. Rockefeller.
Oh, wow.
And he did it because he wanted workers. He wanted people to go into his factory. So he wanted it to be 8 hours of school. He wanted it to be 5 days a week. He wanted it to be extraordinarily structured so that people were mentally taught how to listen, take orders, and sit there for 8 hours a day.
Like he started shaking his head.
He started the Matrix.
Yeah. He started the Matrix,
yeah.
Dude, like 100%.
Yeah.
So our education system was based off of an oil tycoon, right? Like needing to have people to fill his factories and his oil companies and everything moving forward. And so he donated like $100 million back in the 1900s to get the public education system off and running in the United States.
And like you live a 100% fruitful life, right? In the Matrix, right? It's not negative. I mean, yeah. it's there's people who are happy there, and that's fine. But I think that go back to our kids, right? They're unplugged immediately. Mm-hmm. Like they may go into the world and get a job and have a profession, but they're going to see a different side. They're going to have different perspectives than most kids have.
Well, and now more than ever, kids are seeing, especially with the proliferation of the internet and influencers and YouTube stars and people who are kids who are...
YouTube stars are the rock stars for our kids.
Yeah. My son tells me these people, and I'm like, who's that?
Right. The rock stars are not like when I was growing up, it was Michael Jordan, right? It was an athlete. It was Bon Jovi or whomever, right? Input whomever you want in there. Now these kids are looking up to other kids who are making money, right? And so there's like, I had a struggle with this because I'm like, why are you watching a kid
playing with toys,
right?
I didn't understand that. Have this conversation, man.
Until like my older nephew made this comment. He's like, well, you watch older guys playing sports. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
Wrestling around in a
right.
WWF.
Right. So, our kids are being exposed to it at a young age. And so I think, what needs to happen is to nurture that. I mean, the fallback is you obviously have to go to school, right? Like, and I would say that most kids should probably go to college just to grow up. You know what I mean?
Trade school.
Like a trade school. Like
something.
they should go to something. You got to learn something, right? But like, I hope my kids are, come to me at 22 or 23 and are like, hey, I got an idea, like, here's my business plan. Will you support me in this? And I will, right? Because I know, listen, man, your first couple of years, or if you're not living with me, right. Like you got to have that struggle. But like, I would be so proud of that. I mean, I'd be proud of them no matter what, but like, I would be extra proud if my kids like wanted to go do their own thing.
Yeah. I think I feel like my kids are on that path.
Yeah.
I could be surprised,
But you and Becky both. right? Like you guys both have your own companies, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have your company. I mean, so like they don't see any other options,
It's normal.
It's normal. And the thing is that, and we brought it back to like, you bring your kids into your office, there's a level of pride that they have in you that they know, like, this is my dad's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's just something there that's like, they're so proud. And then going that, like as a father, like what's better than having your kids proud? Like there's nothing, right? Like absolutely zero than having your kids proud of what you're doing. So no, I think we should expose our kids to more of this and teach these principles more to them.
Yeah. And be intentional about it, really. And for us as entrepreneurs, it's easy, it's low hanging fruit. For those who are not entrepreneurs, I'm thankful for the programs which are beginning to develop in the school systems and other places, because we need more of that. Even if your child will not be a business owner, an intrapreneur is just as important.
Yes.
We need those people in our organizations who understand the mechanics of business.
The most important. Yeah. The most important.
And help us build these businesses, because not everyone is built for being the business owner or the entrepreneur, but they would love to be part of a community where they understood. In fact, I taught a class years ago called a business. It was a business planning class. It was a capstone course for the undergraduate program, and so the students created a business plan in the course, and 99% of the students were all working for a company, and some thought, oh, you know what, it'd be cool to take this business plan and turn it into a real business, whether it was flowers or soaps or whatever it was. But what the real learning was, man, I am so thankful that I get a paycheck every 2 weeks because this is hard on paper. And I now can better appreciate the environment that's created for me to work safely and productively as part of a community.
Risk calculation. People don't. I would argue that the entrepreneur's position, if they are experienced, understand business, and are A players, they are the most valuable. They're in your leadership 100%, but they are the most valuable piece. Because at the end of the day, to be able to come into something that has, hey, like we always talk about as an entrepreneur, what's it like? Yeah, you've been punched in the mouth before? Like 3 times?
Right.
Have you ever been,
and have to get up and say, can I please have another one?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, risk everything most people not going to sign up for that, but they'll sign up for the last scene in the movie.
Right, yeah, sure, yeah.
They'll sign up for that scene.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's our kids we have a duty to our kids to really expose them to what we've built, right? And what a responsibility that is to be a CEO or to be an entrepreneur, because that's what I always tell when that question is brought to me, specifically from my son Laith. I want to be the boss. I'm like, okay. I'm like, let's talk about responsibility, what that comes with.
Right. And it does come with responsibility. In fact, to my next question, which was posed from my own son. Dad, this was several years ago when he was 12. Is it wrong to want to be rich? Let me finish. I mean, really rich, end quote.
No.
I could answer for him. No. And I was going to I know, yeah. I mean, again, I think if you talk about the byproduct piece, money is a byproduct of you, right? It's direct correlation of how good you are and how developed your skill sets are for a specific purpose, and money will come. It'll come. When you're valuable, like Nate talks about problem solving, you become that person, everyone needs you.
Yeah.
So you do those things, money will come. But I think for them, back to my original point, is that's the first attraction.
Right. The money is the first attraction.
Roblox.
Yeah.
Got to buy Roblox. I mean,
how much money I have to
man,
spend on Roblox?
I'm telling you, that is.
What's the conversion again? I can always ask him, what's the conversion? It's like, I need 10,000 Roblox. Like, how much is that in dollars?
I'll tell you something. It's an amazing business model. No inventory, completely digital.
Yeah.
I mean, so again, there's an opportunity, right? Let's talk about this business of Roblox where you're spending 75% of what you make on. Okay.
Because you're not going to be really rich. if you're spending 75% of what you make.
Right. So I have Amina the money will be gone while you're transacting. So by the time it's in her hand, it's spent, right? And then you have Lath, who's completely the opposite, who's like very frugal, and he saves every dollar he has. Since his first birthday, he still has. He's smart enough to ask me to pay for it. Yeah.
Right.
So it's like completely two different approaches to finances, right? Mm-hmm. So opportunities for both to discuss.
So that's great because it's an opportunity. Like, okay, well, why do you want to be rich?
Right.
Right.
I think that's it, right? That's what I was going to ask. I mean, is it wrong to want to be really, really rich? No, right? No, it's not wrong to want to be really, really rich, depending on how you spend your money, right? Like, do you help people, right? I mean, are you super wealthy and you help people, or are you just doing vanity projects, right? So I don't think it's the money itself is
a vessel.
It's a vessel.
How I mean, it's
not. I mean, it's really nothing, right? I mean,
it's nothing.
It's nothing. It's a piece of paper, but it's what we all, we put our own value onto that, And so, if you're a billionaire, you're helping people. Great, good for you. If you're a billionaire and the money's sitting in the bank, good for you, right? Like it's whatever you want to do with it. So I don't think there's an inherent evil to want to be really, really, really rich. And the world needs people who want to be really, really, really rich.
That's the whole idea.
The world needs people like that, right? So no, I think that's awesome. He wants to be really, really, really rich.
Right, and I think that's
I do too.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
right.
It's a vessel for you to do a lot of things you want to do, and it can be. It's not just superficial or things, and that stuff will come when you are rich, right? Mm-hmm. But it gives you opportunities for time, and having more time, and you're buying time basically.
Money is freedom.
Money's freedom, man.
It
is what it is. Built for profit. Money's freedom. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And as much as it to some people that may sound money's freedom. It is.
It is.
We're a capitalist country.
Yeah.
That's important to
understand.
It's important.
And we are capitalists, right?
Yeah. So if you're listening and you're like, I'm a communist, you're probably not going to enjoy this show.
No.
A socialist. Right. I mean, and here's the thing. Nothing is pure. I mean, there's no pure capitalism. There's no pure socialism. There's no pure communism and all the other systems. But as far as what we believe that capitalism is the most effective vehicle to creating an economic engine that best serves the populace. Now, are there parts of that? Are there social parts of that? Absolutely. I mean, even in our capitalistic society, there are social reforms that are socialistic, i.e., Social Security, and a number of our taxation system. I'm not going to go into that. So we believe in having social needs met, but through the capitalistic engine.
Yeah.
It's a strong engine. You can make a case for it. Lots of cases. One is that it spurs our ability to all go into a marketplace and share in improving the experience people have with products and services. I mean, we're constantly growing, and that's where you see the difference between government.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's
and commerce, right? In industry, like just look at the reusable rockets with Musk, right? How many years, decades?
They would have never come up.
They would have never come up with that.
I mean, we would be in 22 still talking about this.
They didn't need to, because they have an unlimited budget,
right?
You know what I mean? Which is not a capitalistic.
No, scarcity is a capitalistic endeavor, right?
Because entrepreneurs have to succeed. Elon Musk said this, and it sticks in my head. The government should be a referee on the field, not a player in the game.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it. And then when they become a player in the game, government's gone too far.
Yeah. And
that's kind of when I explain like what I think government's role is in commerce. That's exactly how I describe it, because it's perfect. I mean, we just do another segment on what the government does and what they don't do well. I could go all day. But at the end of the day, like, it's very important to have an engine, like you said, right? And an economic system that rewards entrepreneurs that come up with things like that. Doesn't punish them.
Yeah, progress, really.
Progress.
So the role of the capitalist is to institute progress in the economic engine. And so I had a buddy who would call me Captain Capitalist because I was always looking for ways to progress, right?
Yeah.
To improve, to grow, to help, because that drives costs down, that improves the products, and so it gives a better marketplace understanding for our entire demographic. And to answer the question about to want to be rich, I answered in a very similar way to my son. No, it's not wrong. Personally, this isn't for everyone else, but personally, I'm not impressed with all the zeros after the one in your bank account. It doesn't impress me. What impresses me and inspires me is what you do with it to help others. You don't have to do that. It's your money. You do whatever you want with it. Mm-hmm. But for me, and this is what I tell my son, if you want to really be a difference maker in the world, use it. Use it to fund the human condition, to fund progress. You can do it at the macro level for the general populace. You can do it at the micro level by reinvesting it in your family and having that to disperse whatever and that's the beauty of it. Mm-hmm. You can do it. You can do whatever you want with it.
It's your money.
Yeah. So check your motive. That's what I tell my son. Check your motive, because it can be used for ill reasons, which are detrimental to society and people, because there are people who do use their money to hurt others. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side of that, we need more people like you who will want to use it to benefit humanity.
To help people.
Yeah. I was watching a reel with Mike Tyson, and he said, they asked him, he's like, well, what was the happiest time in your life? And he said, when I was in prison.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the guy's like blown back. He's like, in prison? He's like, yeah. He said that God gives you things in money and fame to see if you can handle it. Mm. So it's a test, and he felt like he failed that test. Right?
He did fail that test.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's funny that it's a responsibility, right? Money's a responsibility. So,
which leads me to our last question about responsibility. What do we teach our kids if our kids ask us, what do I need to know about how to be responsible with money from your mistakes?
Save more than you spend.
Don't risk more than you can lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important, no matter how much money you have, to have a budget. I think it's important to have a plan.
It is.
You know what I mean? Important. Like, it costs X to live. Cool. That's your money. Go make that money, right? But once you've covered X, life insurance, 401ks, investing it, saving it, you know what I mean? Like, making your money work for you.
Right.
The one thing I want my kids to understand is that money is a tool, but that tool loses its value every single year, right? Inflation. I mean, right. It is what it is. So make money, save money, but the money you're saving, have that money work for you. Put it into investments, put it into something where that money is going to work for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's as simple as, managing their finances and how they look at things, right? Yeah. I've always been a believer that if you can buy something and afford it without being irresponsible, and you feel like you should. So I think that's that piece, right? Is that, there's a difference between being rich and wealthy.
Yeah.
Right. What did Shaq? Do you remember this one? This is where Shaq, he basically said he spoke to someone. Yeah,
25%. Basically, if you save 20, you can save 25% of everything you earn, and eventually be rich.
Yeah.
But he says if you save 50% or even 75%, you can have wealth, true wealth, and have the generational wealth.
So that was actually something that occurred to me yesterday that I want to approach with them. Is that specific? It's very simple, makes sense. It's not complicated. See how they react.
Yeah. And I don't know if Shaq said it the other way around.
Well, he took a piece of paper, he cut it in half.
Being rich or wealthy, but the point is the same.
Same principle.
Same principle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But who does that? I mean, who really, and I actually brought that up on one of the money episodes that I did, a solo episode. Who does that to where they earn $100 and they take $25 to live on, and then they save $75, right? Here's what I would recommend. And the thing about that is we tend to live to our means.
100% we do.
Right?
Yeah.
So you remember when we were living on $20,000 a year, right? And of course, there's this inflation and whatnot. But then you get a raise, you bump it up, right? So you have nicer cars, nicer houses, nicer vacations, nicer dinners, nicer stuff, right? And so and from my vantage point, especially because, in the tax world, you can't hide it from your tax people, right? That's like, oh, okay. Right. Here's your income increase. And I've seen to where that's very common. It's that discipline to say, okay, so you're fresh out of college and you get $100,000 job. Great, right? If you could find a way, and I'm not even gonna say 25,000, say 35,000. If you can live on the 35 grand that first 1 to 2 years and just pound it out, you can take that $150,000, $200,000, right? That's what you're talking about, and put that money to work for you.
Yeah.
You can invest it in someone's business. You can invest it in the market. You can put it in something, and then you can live closer to your means. But now that money's compounding for you.
No, it's huge. Yeah. Compound interest is life-changing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a lesson for all of us, especially as the kids. So we have to teach them discipline through our own discipline, right? I mean, and I think all three of us understand that concept.
Right. I think the more successful you are, I think it takes a lot of discipline to not change the way you live your life.
Right. I
agree.
Because you get to a point where it's like, oh, remember I couldn't do this and now I can. So it's like, so on one hand, I also believe you can't take money with you when you leave this earth.
Right.
So at the end of the day, enjoy your life, but do it responsible way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure when Abram saw that you didn't take the cheese for 40 cents, that was a lesson for him. Maybe like, man, maybe, but I'm saying it's a valuation for him.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's an evaluation for him,
And there's bigger ticket items like your house, right? So, I mean, we all still live in the house we've lived in for however many years. And we could all go get more house, right? I mean, but it's like, okay, for what?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
right. For what?
Spending more money. Your money doesn't go as far.
Right.
But that's a lure.
It is.
But it takes the discipline to know this isn't my lane, and I got to stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at like we did our whole Steve Jobs thing, right? And talk about a person who lived minimally, right? I mean, wore the same outfit. He had the Isimaki outfit that he wore with the jeans, and people would remember the black turtleneck, right? Yeah. He had a number of that same outfit, but the guy lived pretty minimally, and he was so focused on business and family, and he made all that work. And so for our kids, I think it's important to continue to drive that home. And I think that all three of us, and hopefully someone listening today, will have not only a chuckle, but also maybe some takeaways.
I like the questions from the kids and the questions from the audience. I think we should do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do more of that as well. Well, my friend, we did it. I'm so honored you were able to join me on this episode of A Call to Leadership. Now, this might not be for everyone because you really have to be in a certain place in order to take the kind of steps to level up your leadership. And for those of you who feel like you're ready for something like this, you can go to our website, greatsummit.com. I'll make sure that's in the show notes. But here's the cool thing that we have. We've got a masterclass. We have all different kinds of events. We even have our leadership club where you can meet other people just like you. You and I will get to spend some time together and really focus on aiming for greatness.